What's going on? What's going on, people? This your boy Marquis, and you have joined another episode of When Men Speak. Thank you guys for tuning in. Um, Today's topic is gonna be the value of a man, and we're gonna go around the horn and let's talk about the value of a man. As you guys can see, before we start, Miss Ingleman's not in today. So we do our normal our normal introduction as far as the music and stuff is concerned. So right now we just gonna go around the horn. Of course, you guys know we got Chancellor Haywood, aka Kirk Franklin. We got Gabriel, aka Preacher Man, and we got another special guest on, my man D. What's up, D?
What's up? What's up?
Glad to have you on, my boy. Glad to have you on. So hey, listen. So this is gonna be a really good series. We really took some time to really pray and think about what direction we need to go into, and we decided that the value of a man is a very important thing or topic that we need to start explore, I guess you could say. And just to give you guys a backdrop or information on, all of us had what is it? We had an assignment to watch the movie Claudine. So I hope you guys listen to this and actually go watch the movie Claudine. We're gonna show a couple clips throughout this 45-minute segment, and we're gonna kind of break it down of the value of a man and what our value has been and what our value has become now in today's society. So real quick, each one of us gonna tell you what we think a value of a man is. What is the value of a man, fellas? Any one of you guys can go first. From your perspective, before we start to break things down. Gabe, what's the value of a man for you?
Well, so the value of man for me, from my perspectives too, right? So say from my perspective, a man is the head, he's a spiritual leader of his family. From the world's perspective, the value of man depends how much money he makes. So I just want to throw that out there.
All right. Well, what about you, Chancey?
Um, I would say, man, provider, protector, and priest uh, of his home, ultimately. But we don't all start with families of our own, so that has to be developed and culminated as a single man. You got to be responsible for you first, and then as you develop and grow and be responsible for you, then of course that expands to your family.
D, what's your thoughts?
The value of a man is immeasurable. You can't measure it. And no different than a woman, but the value of a man is very significant, very critical, especially in the early age of kids' lives, and that's from birth until 8-10 years old. Very, very critical. That's the most critical point in the kid's life and the family life. So the value, man, he's part of the foundation. He is the person that guides the family, steers the boats primarily. The person that's the captain of the boat primarily. Sometimes he's gonna take a seat, but he's a very critical person in the family, in the household.
Critical person in the family. Okay. So, hey, Mr. Tory Hargrove, and anyone else that's listening, can you guys respond with what you guys think the value of a man is? Because we want to kind of see and kind of get a poll of the thought process of the men that's watching this in reference to what the value of a man is. And then also the women that are also on here. Anyone that's watching, chime in and text what's your thoughts on what the value of a man is. Dang, David just fell off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start from the beginning. For instance, we know that was very important for us to establish families with fathers in the homes and all those things. And we can go all the way back to slavery on how they broke the family dynamics within the black family structure, how they began to, the first person they began to attack and break down was who? Was the man, right? So if you move that forward to the Jim Crow thing and how they began to build projects and then create the system of welfare and all those things, we're going to kind of, tonight we're going to kind of talk about how that impacted the black family structure, how that allowed caused us to be devalued as men, and it became also the rise on the independent woman. Not saying that nothing's wrong with an independent woman, because all of us before we became in relationships, we wanted women that were independent. Am I right, fellas?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay.
That's
What's up,
right.
B? All right, so real quick, we're gonna ask everyone to check out this clip and really listen carefully as we break it down, what they're gonna say within the movie clip, and then kind of discuss it. Go ahead, bro. Giving them time to play the clip real quick.
30. Didn't you see my big boy? I got a boy 18.
You know, some girls have babies when they're 13, 12.
Well, I was 18.
Oh, you 36. Holy Christ. How'd you wind up with 6 kids?
Well, haven't you heard about us ignorant black bitches always got to be laying up with some dude just grinding out them babies for the taxpayers to take care of? I get $30 a piece for them kids. I'm living like a queen on welfare,
You're jumpy.
Well, my kids are fine. You don't need to be worried about my kids.
No, I'm not worried about your kids. Not my
That
problem.
shit all the time from the welfare, always asking me to apologize for my kids. You know what? I don't have to explain that to nobody. Now you just pushed the wrong button.
Okay, I was just...
You know, I had 2 marriages and 2 almost marriages.
Groovy, I had a couple of myself.
Well, how come you don't have no kids, man, your age?
Well, I got 2 boys in Ohio with my first wife, and a little girl in Louisville with my second wife's mother.
Let me ask you something. You've got a hell of a nerve asking me about my 6 kids. Do you ever see your kids?
No.
You mean you don't even see your own children?
Well, you know, as black studs, no feelings, not them up and leave them, heartless, don't give a shit if the children start, and you pushing on my button, lady.
You want me to tell you something? I think that you and me is wrong.
Well, I think that you and me is definitely right for each other.
Oh, yeah, just perfect. Perfect.
That's right. That's right. She's we've both been through a lot of different love projects, and we are older, we are wiser. I have sympathy. I think you have sympathy. We have no gross inequalities. But the best part about you and me is, we don't understand each other one damn bit.
With that, one of the main things that he asked her was about kids, right? She's beginning to talk about what? You ain't really got to worry about my kids because of the welfare system, right? The welfare makes sure that she good, right? And so within that, right off the bat, I mean, she had been in 2 relationships already. She got 6 kids, but all kids are being taken care of. What?
4
relationships.
She had been in 2 marriages then, but 4 relationships and almost
almost married twice.
What did she call it?
2 marriages and 2 almost marriages.
Yeah, 2 almost marriages.
And then old boy said, so she said, the narrative for females at the time was what? She was no good just up and having kids from anybody, right? but she just failed relationships. She actually did get married, and then old boy, you know what I'm saying? The narrative for him was no good daddy don't take care of his kids.
Black
So how
stud,
did
just
we
good
get
for
there?
knocking women up.
Yeah.
So how do we get to that aspect? Her being on welfare with 6 kids on her own as a single mother, and then we also have a single father that barely see his kids. How do we get to this point?
Well, based on the topic that we're talking about right now, it goes back to the value of a man, because she said herself she was in 2 marriages and 2 almost marriages. So that means 4 relationships, 6 kids out of those relationships. But where are the fathers? You know, if she had even financial help from the fathers, she wouldn't need welfare. You got four baby daddies. You know what I'm saying? And if all of them, she says you're getting $30 per kid per month, right? So back then, that was
Oh look, you breaking up,
Your
bro.
audio.
You breaking up. Hey, Chancey, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. So what you guys thoughts on that? What's you guys thoughts on that? I'm gonna have to let
Yeah.
hear you, bro.
How do we get there? That's the question, is how did they get there, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's a systematic thing. Um, and we got to take self accountability for it as well. You can't just blame it on the system. We got to take accountability for it on our culture as well. And when I say culture, that's the African American culture. We predominantly, in our families, predominantly, you don't see a man in the household. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, right? So it wasn't it. Again, I go back. How did they get there? Systematic oppression, and systematically taking the man out of the home. Um,
Okay,
and
so when we talk about that, so when you talk about systematically taking, okay, before we get to the clip, right? We do realize that slavery was before that. You know what I'm saying? Slavery led. I mean, yeah, slavery led into the dynamic of that, because we talk about the butt breaking. Remember how they used to destroy the man in front of the females? How they used to take the man away from them? They used to just use men to breed different
yeah,
kids. See what I'm
it
saying?
all it all go back to the Willie Lick syndrome.
Okay. And
Yeah,
then now we get into what is it called? The Jim Crow, to where they segregated us, put us in places that was undeveloped, called the projects, put us on that system. And here in the video, it's talking basically she's on welfare. And on welfare, a woman can't have a man. She has to be independently living with her kids, and the government is the provider for her family, right?
right. She didn't say she get child support per
No.
child. She
Right.
said she get $30 per child. That's from the system.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Government.
Okay, so now let's talk about the other aspect of it. Okay. Remember, prior to that, you got the slavery aspect. Then you got us trying to, black people trying to get their independence. Then you also got, okay, we started establishing ourselves. Then you got the war comes along. Then you got them taking jobs out of our communities. Cause remember, a lot of things was industrial. So a lot of us were working hard labor jobs when we was able to start working, right? And then we was able to start think about this when she talked about being divorced twice. You got men that had possibly had jobs from the beginning, other relationships, but because the economy and they took factory and industrial jobs out of certain places, especially in our neighborhoods when we was doing a lot of the sharecropping, all those things, right? But now we're being replaced by machines. We're being taken out of factories and stuff like that. And now the man ain't got no job. And they ain't hiring black men like that.
Right. I think one thing we should not we should say was intentional, right? The systematic devaluing of black men didn't just happen by accident. It was intentional. So that led to the fear of the black man, right? And then from slavery days, it transitioned all the way to the civil rights movement, like you said. And then when the industrial revolution, where you're referring to, men went to jobs, right? So the social norm in this country was different as well. In the 50s, 60s, women didn't work like we see today. It was mostly men were the providers, right? And like you said, unemployment drove, and it seemed like the government now is more focused on catering to black women than black men. Now, so, like you said, with welfare system, men not allowed to be in the homes, so that kind of devalue the family, right? The family structure for most black family is not a dad and a mom, right? It's mostly single mom. That was intentional again, right? And now to this age, one thing we should remember, the economic thing, in the 50s and 60s, a man that was making money had more the propensity to go back and marry a woman making less money. But now, as things have progressed, where there's more African American women making more money than men, the chances for a woman making more money to go back and marry a man making less money is even almost non-existent. So it was not, I just want to get it. It was not accident, it's intentional. And I think I want to make this point. We have bought into the lie that men is not valuable, right? And then women are okay having babies out of wedlock. And it's both men too. So we got to take some responsibility as well, right? So the accountability in trying to improve ourselves, the value in education, like my grandmother used to tell me, that's one thing no man can take from you, right? So that mindset is something that we should consider as well. So the accountability side, on the men's side, we can do better despite what's going on, but it's been intentional to kind of break up the black family, the devaluing of black men, and society and our people have bought into that lie. So I just want to make that point.
D, what's up? D, you had something you want to say?
Oh no, I agree with Gabriel. Like it was an intentional thing to continue to separate our families, our households, because they know how powerful the black man is, especially in the house, and how influential the black man is on black women, on their kids, everything. Like we know that. We can see that in coaching, how influential men are. In every sport that you look at, it's a predominantly male coach sport, right? And that's because of their influence, their impact, their leadership. So if you look at that and you pay attention to everything, like, yeah, it was intentional. Let's remove this man. Let's put these systems in place where these women will go to us, come to us, rely on us, depend on us, and don't depend on the man or feel like they don't need the man, and then let's pay the men minimum wages where they can't even afford to take care of their kids, right? They can't even afford to provide for their family. So now they feel less than a man. Now they devalue themselves, so now they're battling against themselves and the system and the woman who's constantly saying, hey, I need more financially from you because I can't get a job. Back in the day, women, they weren't hiring women like that. They was pretty much servants, so they couldn't get those corporate jobs or those industrial jobs. You didn't see them in the industrial business for a long time. Now you see women in industrial, working in these factories and stuff like that. But back in the day, no, you didn't see them in the factories. They were more like servants. So that's how I see it. Like they systematically set it up where you couldn't win. You couldn't go against it. Now you had some families that did prevail and they were successful with it. That took a strong-minded woman though, to counteract and to help that man who was battling all of this oppression and depression at the same time. So, yeah.
Hey, what's up? Hey, what you got, man? Real quick. I know you fell off, so finish up with what you were saying.
I don't even know where I was.
Hey, so you had just started basically. You had just started. We ain't hear nothing.
Man, I don't even know where I was saying. I don't even know what I was on at this point.
All right, so we need to come back to you real quick. So we're gonna go back. We're gonna go into our next clip, so that we can kind of break down the next clip or whatever there, and go into the next phase of the conversation. Hey, Gabe, go ahead and cue that real quick. Again, for those of you that's just tuning in, hey, listen, we ask you to make a comment what you think the value of a man is and what men value are right now in today's society. Right now, we're waiting on the video to be queued so that we can go in more depth conversation. Can you rewind it for us, Gabe? Because I'm looking at it. I'm going to cue it in a second, but I want to rewind it real quick.
You want me to start it now?
Yeah, go ahead and start.
Okay.
So, guys, please listen carefully.
I want this.
Hey, Gabe, do me a fast forward that.
Forward.
I tell you what.
Yeah, fast forward.
I'll give you
to the car scene.
ultimate happiness. Nothing is better off.
Car scene.
You're no different
Keep going.
than any other girl.
Keep going.
Right here.
Oh, the joys of
Right there.
fatherhood. I tell you, I never got up to that part. Just because you're the papa, you got to put up a shut up. You ain't got the cash, you can just forget it.
You don't have to explain to me.
All right, but I sure have to explain to these kids. Say, well, look at here, yeah. All right, kids. Good news. Got this good job down in St. Louis. And everything worked out all right. Why, no time flat. You back. You don't believe it, do you? Yeah, you're all mad at me, right? It looked like you've been sucking on vinegar. But there's one thing you better know. And that is, I love all of y'all.
Dig it so much, then why didn't you come to the party?
Oh, why didn't I come to the party? Yeah, he's just like my daddy. He like all the daddies. They say they love you, then they don't come around. Listen, can I explain something to you about being a daddy? The daddy is the breadwinner. You dig what I'm saying? And if you don't win that bread, you just don't come around. It just takes a lot of money to be a daddy, and I ain't got it. You still want me to marry your mama, huh? You still want it, right? Well, how am I going to do that? I mean, it's a big load.
Charles and Charlene are moving now. There'll only be 4 of us. Man just eats invisible food.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered together.
So in that, basically, what it was saying is what we talked about in a minute. A man's value is based upon how much money he made, how much he can provide family, right? So if a man feel that he has no value, which he and most of us, of course I do realize and see that times have changed and some men don't care if as far as providing for families, but the majority of us, that's what we find our value at. How we take care of our family, make sure our family needs for nothing. And during that time, in the clip, the dude saying, "Hey, look here, you know what I'm saying? You asking me to be a daddy, that's a big load. How can I be a when I ain't even got a job? How am I? If anything, I'm becoming more of a burden on your mama as another mouth to feed, or I'm not making enough to I'm adding to and still not making enough. I might as well not even be there to make things easier and better for y'all." What's up, little lady? So, like, what are you guys' thoughts? I mean, that's that man, a man being devalued because he does not or devaluing himself. Society is has a value in men based upon what we make as well. But
I
yet
see
women
people.
say that they want more. But see, think about it. But women say that women in society say, and even now they ridiculously saying, "I need a man with 6 figures." You know how many dudes make 6 figures? And then on top of that, women are there's more women on this earth statistically than it is men. You know what I'm saying? So like, and then those of us that are trying to, do the right thing and be in these spaces and are able to provide, they want more than that. Back then, men just was women's expecting men just to be the provider when it came to that, to make sure that they had a home, a car, you know what I'm saying, food on the table, clothes on their feet, and didn't need for nothing. But now women are asking for more than that.
Yeah, nowadays women are asking for men to come home and take care of the kids, iron the clothes, wash the clothes, cook dinner, all types of
Take some pressure off them, right?
stuff that back in the days it was the gender roles, as far as the women take care of that, and the women take care of the kids, the man bringing the paper, bringing the bread. But yeah, that's I can see that's transitioning a lot. The more time pass and the more this new generation come around, and there's more of a partnership. Even though there was a partnership then, but it's more of a they're removing the gender roles per se. They're slowly removing the gender roles, or women are becoming more advanced as far as career wise.
Right.
They gain their independence in that as far as job market or whatever. You know, they so with that being said, now it's like, oh, okay, I think it's associated with the classism as far as now you make enough money, you can do, oh, I'm making enough money, I'm making the same amount of money as you making, or I'm making more than you, you know what I'm saying? So now you need to be home cooking and cleaning, when you get off, because I'm the breadwinner. I make the most money. Even though you got a job, man, I still need you to do this, and do that. Like, you ain't helping out. All you do is come home and, tired or whatever. So I can see that's changing, that whole dynamic changing. But real quick, he said something key, man. He said it takes a lot of money to be a dad, right? He said that it takes a lot of money to be a dad. That's still true to this day. Even when I just said, women are making more money than men, it still takes a lot of money to be a dad, and that's because of the expectations of a man, right? And that's all the way around the world. The expectations of a man is you provide, right? You provide. So, and we going back, is that the only value? That's how you value us. That's how you value a man. Is I'm just there to be a provider. Whether it's that, you might want me to do some of those roles where I'm cooking and cleaning, but the ultimate goal, the ultimate thing is I got to be the provider. If I ain't the provider, meaning I ain't making more money than you, then subconsciously and inside you have an issue with it.
Yeah. And I think that's why I said, I'm like, when the question went around, said spiritually, I know what a man is, but in society today, it's completely tied to how much money you make, right? But I want to bring something in from a personal perspective, right? So I have a son that, from a previous marriage, that I do pay all my child support, but my ex intentionally keep me out of his life, right? So sometimes you do have the money, you're doing the right thing, but it is intentional to keep you out of your kid's life. And I always tell my friends and my wife, I'm like, that's another issue, because he's a young man. What I've seen, it happened to my little brother, happened to friends I know. When the kid turns 16, now you have kept me out of his life, intentionally up until he's 16. When he starts bucking at you, now you want me to come in and wrestle with him. So I'm not doing that. No, I said I'm breaking that cycle, because that happened with my little brother. When, he became 15, 16, my dad and I drove from New York City to pick him up in Minnesota. I have friends that took their sons in 15, 16, because now you kept the man, because you didn't value, like you said, David, and everybody here, like the value of man nurturing, coaching, mentoring. You didn't value that. Now when he become a monster, now you want him to be a father and take that into his home. That got to stop in this country. That's nonsense, right? Let the fathers be in from the beginning, because I'm telling you, in raising a man, you need a man. This lie that, oh no, you need a man, because I've seen it statistically every time. 15, 16, now they want to, oh, he's bucking at me because he's bigger than me. Now you got to go to your father. Well, when he was 5'4", you didn't want the father involved up until that point. Now, why should the father deal with that after you created what he is today? That got to stop.
You said something key though, real quick. You said something key that brings us back to the systematic division that still exists today, right? Now, it's based on different states and their statutes and their laws and regulations and all of that, right? But it shouldn't even exist. When a child is born, there should be equal rights from both parents, mother and father. But in today's society, in most states in America, when a child is born, that father has to earn, has to pay, has to go to court, has to present himself, has to establish himself, has to sign with witnesses saying, hey, I take responsibility for this child. I am this child's father, regardless if he signed the birth certificate or not, right? And think about this. This man can be held responsible to provide financially for this child, right? But he doesn't have any legal rights to this child, right?
Yep.
So, Zuri, get out here with that. Get out here with that. So, with that being said, like there's systems still in place where a man has to establish himself as the parent, but a woman that doesn't have to do that, you know. But she wants that man to be that financial provider,
right?
So she will take out the child support on that man. That man will have to pay the max on that child support note. If he don't pay child support, they're gonna take his license. So he can't get a job. He can't go nowhere. They're going to put him in jail.
Right.
And he can't see his child unless he take her to court and establish himself as the parental, you know, earn his parental rights through courts. Yeah. That's sad. And so you see the system is still in place today. I had to go through it myself. So I understand what you're going through, Gabriel, as far as the mothers, you know, keeping you away from that child. You know, a lot of people will see this and say, oh, well, he can do. No, what he can do is he has to go to court. So that's another financial burden. Not only if he paying child support for this child, but now he got to pay a lawyer. And the lawyer loves to see family disputes. They love it. That's where they make a lot of their money.
Yeah, the other thing is I do have visitation. The other side of it, there's no repercussions for her not allowing me to see. So, like you said, I've been to the court.
There are repercussions, right? But you got to pay for them to enforce those repercussions. And you have to have a lawyer to make sure you have the evidence to prove that she has still been going against the court order.
It's difficult, David. Like even if you go in the state of Virginia,
So check this out. So you guys going into another part of the series that we're gonna kind of dig deep in.
Okay.
And it's gonna be based. It's based upon emotional intelligence. Remember we talked about that? Emotional intelligence and not allowing our emotions based upon how me and you view each other, because our relationship didn't work, and learn to become a team and do what's best for the child. Because it's, you know what I'm saying? So I just leave that over there, because we're gonna really get into that. Cause guess what? All four of us have been through that.
Right.
I just ain't said nothing. And Chancey has too as well.
Yeah.
So all four of us have been through.
But to say that we said we went through it, we went through it because the system is still in place for it to exist.
Correct.
If the system was not in place for it to exist, we wouldn't be going through that. That's why I've always had ambitions and dreams of becoming a lawyer and defending those fathers who can't see their kids, right? But it's bigger than just being a lawyer. We need to change this on federal law.
Exactly.
You know, don't allow the states to do this. This need to be congressionally pushed down, where it's equal rights. When a child is birthed into this world, there's no primary custodian off rip. No, it's not. It's both. It's both.
One thing that's a common thread even in that whole situation. We just said, right, that child support is based upon what I can provide for you monetarily.
Right.
How much money I make and how much of that money that you can get in reference to our child. Replacing me with money. You want me to provide monetarily, but you don't want me to provide in all these other realms, because let's be honest. You don't have to be in a marriage or a relationship with an individual to be a parent.
No.
See what I'm saying? We do grown folk business and things come out of that. You know what I'm saying? But we can successfully become co-parents, whether we like each other or not. But at the same token, what we're talking about, because that's not successful, and we deal with the emotional intelligence is not there, and it's personal, and a lot of people, because of that, try to be vindictive and try to take out child support on individuals. And then when you got a lot of people like us got good fathers that really want to be involved, but the moms that just want the money and they don't want you involved because of their personal issues with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So even at the end of the day, it still boils down to what can you provide. I don't need you here. I can do this on my own. Just make sure that they got whatever they need.
Value of a man. Like I said, they don't value the mentoring.
But we know that's not true, though. We know that what you just said.
Know that.
They know it as well. You
right.
know, the people that are saying, "Hey, I don't need you," or the people that's acting like I don't need you, all of that, right? They know it as well. But that animosity, like you just said, that vindictive spirit, that evil spirit, right?
Emotional intelligence.
And these some of the most holy rollers you got out there, right?
Yep.
The most holy rollers you got. That evil spirit takes over, right? And for some reason they can't shut it down. And now it's like, oh, I don't need him. But then behind the walls, they talking about he ain't this, he ain't that. Well, what are you doing? What are you declining? What are you trying to stop? You know, so they know that they know the value of the man, right? That goes back to what you just saying, though. That's an emotional thing. You know what I'm saying? The emotional thing. Like the women know the value of a man because the women that desires a man like us, a man that is going to provide, right? A man that's gonna take care of his kids. Those women that desire it, they know the value of a man as well because they don't have it at all, right? So they want it.
They know Chance about to get in. I agree with you to a certain extent. They know certain values of a man.
Right.
Even your wives right now that's in the house with you don't know your full value of who you are. And we're gonna explore that too. We're gonna explore that too when it comes to marriages, and we're gonna talk about all those things. Trust me when I tell you. Go ahead, Chancey, what you got? We got like 15 minutes before we get ready to close out. What you got?
Got a lot of stuff, but
the floor is yours. Ain't been on here in the whole hour. Go ahead.
I'm trying to get my thoughts together. Y'all done said a lot. Y'all keep talking. It'll come to me.
Hey, so with that, while you doing that, we're gonna go to this last and final clip, so that you can get your thoughts together, and then we'll get ready to close out. Go ahead and play that clip, Gabe.
All right.
Don't play it until I pull it up. Don't press play until I bring it up.
Okay. Just tell me.
All right. All right, go ahead and play it.
All right.
But this will be determined after your financial status has been computed by us. It has nothing to do with aid to the children. You understand?
If you will sign the statement, it shows your income and your expenses, Mr. Marshall, and get it back to me within 2 weeks. You understand?
Yes, I understand all that. But listen, I got to ask you something because I got to think about this thing. What happens if I lose my job?
If you're married, you must apply for welfare.
Oh, I must apply for welfare?
You must apply for welfare. Otherwise, this would constitute a misuse of ADC funds.
Which is fraud.
You understand? If the husband's unwilling or unable to make a contribution equal to what it would cost him to maintain an independent living arrangement, he must apply for welfare. Do you understand? Otherwise, this would constitute a misuse of ADC funds.
Which is fraud.
Which is misappropriation.
Which is fraud.
Right, okay, now wait a minute. Now, if I marry this lady, I want to make things better. But if I spend $1 on it, you're going to deduct it from her, right? If I want to buy a little something extra, you're going to... And I better report every penny I spend, or else I'm a crook. Okay, now you say if I lose my job, I must apply for welfare because I can't just sit around eating the government biscuit.
Which is fraud.
Because that's a fraud, right? Okay, now if I do go into welfare, then I'm just another lazy ass nigga that's living off taxpayer. All right, now suppose I do not marry this lady. Now, if I move in with her and do not tell you, then we're both crooks, right? But if I do tell you, then we're back to the income and the outcome and the deducting and your drive me to drink. And you call a fraud if I spend $7 for a bottle of whiskey. Come on, partner. Let's get out. You can't win. Understand?
We good, bro. Stop. All right, Chancey. All right, bro.
Man, I miss so much on what I want to say. But we gotta go back to when, like y'all talked about gender roles, right? Well, that started after during World War II, when the men had to go off to war and the women were left back here to sustain the household and the home. So they had to go get jobs, and they got used to that additional income coming in. And then when we came back from war, now we got 2-parent homes, both working. And of course, that made for a better life in the sense that we were able to do more for our families because we got 2 incomes. But now you got women who want to go to work. They like what they're doing and all this other stuff. So now so that's where the whole, what they was talking about. Now you got men that are cooking, cleaning, and doing all this other stuff, as opposed to just working. Initially it was just bringing home the bacon and they take care of everything else. But now we got everybody doing that. So it was good and bad for a lot of reasons. But some of the things that I wanted to bring up outside of that was, we talking about the value of a man. Married couples between the ages of 20 and 25 are 60% more likely to get a divorce. Black women divorce at a higher rate, 40%, than any other race. I blame that almost solely, that's just me now, on the systems that are in place, because they provide so much. We talked about this on the call. They provide so much assistance and help for them that it makes them, as you seen in the movie Claudine. If he married her, he said, I want to make her life better. But if I marry her and I spend $1, you take that $1 from her. If I don't marry her and now that's fraud too. If I don't marry her, just move in with her, that's fraud. We both wrong. We both crooks. So you darn if you do, darn if you don't. So my question that I have to the audience and to all of us is, how do we fix the system? Now, David talked about the system, about the court system and all of that stuff. And we talked on phone prior to our meeting tonight about unifying as a people. All right. So, and we covered have and have nots. We're talking about the value of a man now. But in order for us to unify, our women have to see our value, the value that we bring to their lives, the value that we bring to the family unit.
Absolutely.
Right. So if we don't have that, then nothing else really matters. Remember when we were kids, how our parents used to tell us, keep folk out your business, keep folk out of our business. So what happens in this house, stay in this house. So I'm not going to say who I'm talking about, but we got to keep them folks out of our business. And the way to keep them folks out of our business is when, like you said, Marquise, when we doing grown folk things, we have a child, we got to put everything else aside and we got to decide together what's best for this child. And what's best for this child is for you not to be on the system, for us to raise our child together, whether we married or not, keep them folk out of our business, so that now I am a part of their life, whether you know what I'm saying, broke, busted, or disgusted, because hey, you laid down with them, so now everything coming on with it. That's your responsibility. So we got to see each other for who we are and what we bring to the table, income exempt, because we're more than the money that we make. We all know that. But until our women see us that way and see our value, we just talking.
It's more.
No, I mean,
it's more. Because he said see our value, right? In the women, real quick. The women have to, when they witness another woman not understanding and seeing a man's value, they need to educate that woman. right? And if that woman continues to want to live the way that they live, they need to disassociate with that woman, isolate that woman, right? You have to, because some people learn through isolation because you're not seeing the bigger picture on how, what we're trying to teach you and educate you for men, period. And so that we can have this family structure, like you can't just stick in that same cultural toxin that you're used to. You got to get rid of that. With all of that whole, he ain't nothing, he don't, all of that, you got to get rid of that, And then I want to say real quick, I'm not saying that the system shouldn't exist as far as welfare, right? I'm not saying that, because we need it, because we have to acknowledge there are some men that don't want to be fathers and continue to make these babies out here, right? And that's a whole nother conversation, right? So that system in place for women that, the bad consequences of their choices, right? Dealing with the wrong people or this type of man, and he just don't want to, because in today's society, you can get a job, black man, white man, Asian man, whatever you are, you can get a job, you can work, you can hustle, and you can grind, right? So it not having employment is no longer an excuse, right? No longer an excuse. You can get a job. It's just some of these men out here, they don't want to provide, and I'm gonna go back.
But that I understand what you're saying, but if you even go back into Claudine, right? You got you making what you gonna work for? If they taking all your money for child support in the system, and you really want to get a job, but you only qualified to get this type of job, which is minimum wage, inflation going up, you still got, even if it's yourself, he wasn't even able to provide for himself, let alone you talking about add a family when they start taking child support out of his check. You know what I'm saying?
So I can only speak for.
Hold on, 1 second. And then Chancey said that you'll be some people will be better off of welfare and us coming together. But some people, because of that, what I just said, they don't make enough for them to be better off. So it'll be better off for the woman to be where she at on welfare, opposed to us really being together, because I can't provide. Just like the dude say, I can't provide for this family. My job ain't paying me enough. It's not a career job. I don't have benefits on the job. How the hell am I going? Oh, look, I felt convicted saying that because y'all don't even know I cuss. But how the world am I going to provide for this? That's a no-win situation for me.
So I gotta say reality. That, I gotta say that right that is still no excuse for a man to not provide or to not attempt to provide, right? Because we can provide. Like for me, it motivates me. I got 5 kids, 5 girls, right? I stayed in the Army because I kept having kids. I didn't get out. I knew I had it. I didn't want to be in the Army. I didn't want to stay in the Army. Who? No, I hated war, but I had to sacrifice. And that's where the sacrifice come in. I had to sacrifice. I had to make decisions on how am I going to be a better me so I can continue to provide for my kids, right? And that's education. Education. I had to get education, right? I had to seek mentorship. I had to seek higher paying jobs, higher paying roles, or I had to stay into this military because I know I had the structure and the foundation, continue to get that check monthly and provide and pay that child support or whatever it may be. Like that, we can do it. You can do it. A man can do it. Don't put it saying, "Oh, I can't get," because I understand. Yeah, we got these factory jobs out here where they underpaying us. They working night shift, graveyard shift, so they can only work one job and they barely getting paid. But they laid that bed for themselves when they got so many kids that they can't afford. Right. So that's
could I change the perspective? Because I think that if we go back to Claudine, right? Even with all the economic issues, we can say Claudine valued a man. She understood at this point in her children's life, her life, she wanted a man. Take away what was happening in society. We understand that was going on, but I think that's the takeaway. At a point after she had all these 6 kids, been on the system, she realized she needed a man. And they're working. The rub came when they're trying to figure out how to make it work. So I think that's where we can start. That's what Chancey, I think you were alluding to. Let us as a people start valuing men. We know there's all these systemic things in our society. We know there's money issue, but value a father. Want to be married before you have babies. Want to have a family structure. I think that's what we have to key in on. Yeah, the money, systemic racism, all that stuff we know exists. We know men need to be accountable and make money, but we as a people should start valuing the family structure that God put, a father and a mother, and stop saying I want a baby daddy or a baby mama, father and mother. And beyond, if you guys don't even stay together, to your point, Marquise, figure it out. We'll talk about emotional intelligence. Let the father be a father in their kid's life because there's repercussions. I explained that. When it becomes 15, 16, then you realize a woman cannot stand up to a 15, 16 because, these kids are swole. Imagine LeBron James. He looked like he was growing for the time he was a baby. But these kids get big, and a mom cannot, handle that. But if you had a mentor or someone like a father from the beginning all the way there, even if they're not together, at least the father will be providing some fatherly guidance. I think that's the key takeaway. Yeah, let's value father, mother, men and women, the family structure like God wanted it. That's what we've got to change our mind and stop saying, no, it's okay, for me to have a baby out of wedlock, or it's okay to be a baby mama or a baby father. Let's change that perspective and mindset and value, because there are repercussions.
That sounds like the Christian thing to do, but realistically, that ain't gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Each one of us, no matter how much of God we love, each one of us got kids. That's outside of where we at now.
No, I'm not saying like the Christian thing. I'm just saying like Claudine, even though she had that situation, she still at the point she came, she valued that she needed a man. That's what I'm just saying. Like value both. Even if you're not together, like I said, let the man be a father. He doesn't have, you don't have to marry him to allow him to be, because there are repercussions. There is the systemic racism that we're in jail, but most of our brothers in jail is because they never had a father. No one to set them on the straight path. So there are repercussions that continue to happen in our society because there's no father. There's no value. Again, it was intentionally to devalue black men. Yeah, in the house. Right. Yeah, just like come be a father.
Chancey, what you got? Because we got to get ready to close.
I'm good, man. I'm just listening and thinking about what everybody's saying. But I did write down something. You said, that's the great Christian thing to do. But if you really peel back the layers of the onion, man, that's how we got here, by straying away from our core Christian values. The Bible says that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So how can I do that if I'm not, as a man, being accountable for the choices that I made? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, Christian, no Christian, religious or not, we got to be men and be accountable for the choices and decisions that we made. You know what I'm saying? And regardless how old we were or young we were, or what examples we had or didn't have, because there's everybody in this world. I don't think anybody grew up in a perfect home that had everything right, decent, in order. Everything was like it. Everybody had some kind of challenge, or obstacle to overcome. I don't care if we're rich, poor, it don't matter. Everybody has something that they had to overcome as they journey through life. But it's not what happens to us. It's how we respond to it. So at some point in our life, when we talk about it on the phone, we got to individually mature, man, and grow up and educate ourselves and want to be better than what I was yesterday and last year. So where does the accountability come in? Forget what society say, forget what even our own